Welcome to MSUA's Game Changers Live, where we speak with satellite and mobile connectivity thought leaders about industry trends, new technologies, and share what you need to know about where satellite technology is headed in the future. I'm your host, Lisa Dreer, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest today, Olivier Gommes. He is the Director of Technology and Innovation at Marlink. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Maybe we can begin by just having you give us a little bit of background on yourself and Marlink.
Okay, then I will start from a group perspective. The Marlink Group is the world leading, I would say, provider of end-to-end managed service, network and IT solutions. We do serve today maritime and enterprise customers at large, worldwide, providing them with a lot of IT and application-based routing, IT solution like cloud access, network security, IoT, and OT solutions. And also, on top of that, a lot of services and maintenance. We are about 1,000 employees worldwide in almost 23 countries, and we serve the following business vertical on the maritime side: shipping offshore, cruise and ferry, yachting and fishing. And on the enterprise, which is more land-oriented business, mining, oil and gas and utilities, and humanitarian NGO, and we have a fancy also business vertical, which is sport and cultural events. When it comes to me, I currently, as you said, hold the position of Director of Technology and Innovation for the enterprise business within the Marlink Group. Then, in short, I'm responsible for the strategic direction of business development first, but also I set up the technology roadmap and the business alliance in the enterprise business unit, how to leverage our technical partnership. In terms of background, then, as usual, I have more than 20 years experiences in the global telecommunication industry. Starting from an engineering background, I have a master's degree in telecommunication engineering, and on top of that, I put a brick of an executive MBA to complete my cursus, I would say.
Great. Wow. So a lot of really exciting things that both you and Marlink are working on. So maybe we can jump into some questions here and think about what is the most important role you feel that the satellite industry has to play in the future of mobile connectivity?
Okay, then to answer this question, I will start with my personal experience. 15 years ago, I left the most famous French operator in France to Marlink. And at that time, I received a lot of negative feedback, saying that from my former colleagues, saying, satellite is legacy. In 5 years, we will not make any more use of the satellite. This is an expensive solution. Where we stand today? Today, satellite is really critical to the future of the mobile connectivity. And satellite has also, from a technology standpoint, proven that over the past years, they are really able to respond to all the challenges, but also to develop innovative solutions. And why? Because today we are facing the limitation of the terrestrial technologies, the limitation to provide ubiquitous coverage, especially in very remote areas of the globe. Then one of the vision of the perspective we are currently developing is really to combine and to merge the SATCOM networks into a larger network with terrestrial technology. Then it's really still we keep the customer in the middle of the room, and it's really to enhance and to improve the benefit for the end customer. Then what we provide more bandwidth to the customer today, especially in what we call the underserved and unreachable areas. What we provide also is a better latency with what we will talk about later is a non-geostationary satellite solution. Then if we talk about latency specifically, because today most of the application we are using on our cell phone, on the internet, on our PC have latency preferences. For example, the cloud access. For example, if we talk about what we call the autonomous operation, how to remotely operate your drone or your materials, but also the 5G, because the 5G is for today. They have already deployed a lot of of a 5G network all over the world, especially for connected devices and especially for the juicy market of connected cars. Then, talking about the 5G, you have two flavors of the 5G. You can, on one side, backhaul the connection of the 5G radio network, creating a radio bubble and to backhaul the traffic. But what we target as well is to have a direct 5G connection to the satellite. And for sure, on that, the satellite industry will be a game changer for the future of the mobile connectivity on land first, the easiest part, at sea, but also in the air, because it will enable people to access to the digital services. And most of the digital services are OTT first, the IPTV, the remote connectivity, as I said, but also the IoT M2M and the newly virtual reality. Then just to summarize a bit, as a result, for me, the next space race is really linked to the 5G and how the 5G will be enabled by satellite. And it will, for sure, it will open up a lot of revenues opportunity for the newcomer, especially the GAFA, but also SpaceX and Amazon. Then it's really where certainly the interest will be.
Wow. So I mean, I don't know if you agree, but I would say there's never been a more exciting time to be in the satellite industry than now.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
I think you're kind of alluding to a lot of these things, but what would you say are some of the most significant changes that are going to happen over the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years for the satellite industry and for mobility in general?
Again, I will try to take an external reference. To start to answer this question, I would like to make a reference to a book I recently read. The title is "Our Iceberg is Melting" from John Cotter, and it's all about changing and succeeding under any conditions. Then this is exactly what happens today in the satellite industry. In the next 12 to 24 months, we will see the completion of non-geostationary constellation and the start of commercial availability of these services. And it starts because few testing will start. OneWeb will launch their service in November. Starlink, they already deployed a lot of services, and the other will follow. Then the number of commercial space internet services starting enhanced today by all the terrestrial infrastructure which is already in place. We are talking about backbone, local ISP to extend the reach and so on. It starts to develop a new vision, especially for the satellite industry, a new vision which is the path agnostic communication. Then how to integrate the space, the ground segment, all together in order to provide to your customer the end-to-end solution. But there are still challenges. The challenges are especially on the lack of interoperability between all these services. We know that for the time being, we will not be able to interoperate between the different constellations coming. But also in terms of performances, we don't know what will happen with the number of satellites which will be launched in the coming years and already launched. And in practice also, we will talk about cost because it will cost a lot to maintain such kind of constellation. As you may know, geostationary satellite will last for more than 15 years, while certainly a non-geostationary satellite will have a lifetime, I would say, between 5 to 10 years only. Then you will have to create such kind of turnover in your satellite. Then we are quickly moving from an open architecture situation. Open architecture, it means that you are able to change from one operator to the other. And it's what happened a few years ago, to what we call a connectivity bearer switching today, which is represented by a mix of the existing geo constellation, with the main players, and we will enhance that by the newcomers, the non-geostationary satellites, and namely Starlink, OneWeb, O3b, and all the others. And on top, you will put the terrestrial connectivity. Then, to make a long story short, we will enter a new era where the focus will be more the application performance and the quality-based bearers and the load sharing instead of the connectivity itself. Then it will appear that we will have to play with a lot of closed proprietary architecture. But such kind of development are definitely driven by capability improvements. Then, in my view, I mean, it's really my view, the NGSO services which will come appear not to be a revolution. This is not a revolution. This is an evolution. They will bring new things. They will bring the capability to develop the concept of network of networks, then how to put together different type of connectivity to provide seamlessly a service to your end customers. Then at the end, the objective remains to provide to the customer. Again, the customer has to be in the middle because the requirements are coming from the customer. But the objective is definitely to communicate from any location in the world without specifying what type of connection or what type of nodes your network will use. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. So how do you feel the commercialization of space is impacting this? Do you think it will push forward, that kind of more agnostic, open environment?
Yeah, sure. But in fact, there are two sides. The first side is that such kind of commercialization will certainly create a trend for standardization because we will produce more and more satellites, we will produce more and more terminals and so on. Then until a few years ago, the cost for deploying new assets in space was subject to little competition. Now it's really, I would say, a bloody ocean where we will enter a strong competition with a lot of cost reduction in terms of manufacturing, in terms of launch, and again, ultimately, we will certainly reach, I would say, a level where we will have satellite more interchangeable. Then it's really where when you will remove such kind of blocks, which were the cost, but also the launch complexity, the manufacturing complexity, we will be able to see more potential. Then for the satellite industry, we have seen a strong acceleration, and especially on the digital technologies. Now we are talking about extremely small satellites, nano pico satellite. And as an example, Kepler is designing a very small satellite delivering gigabits of traffic. But we see also a next generation of geostationary satellites, what we call the software-defined satellites, providing more flexibility in terms of beams to provide the bandwidth where and when it matters. Then it's definitely modified, and it's a new standard for the business model. Then that's for me a real game changer in the approach, the commercialization of the space.
So you keep referring back to the importance of really understanding the customer. What do nanosats and these types of technologies, what does that mean from a user perspective or from a customer perspective?
Still, yes, for me, what the customer is expecting is a quality of service and a better quality of experience. Then the metrics are definitely on the network performance, and the user experience has to be prime, for sure. Then when we talk about the existing service which will be launched by the newcomer, especially on the NGSO, they are mostly sold as a best effort, and one of their main target initially is the broadband and the customer first. But such kind of solution cannot be fine for non-critical. They are fine for non-critical application, but they are not fine when it requires to guarantee performances and to provide a secured network access. After that, what the customer would like to find in terms of service when it comes to a satellite provider or satellite service, it would like to find a flexible coverage, the capability to leverage the mosaic or the melting pot of offers we are facing today. But the objective is really to keep an application-centric approach. That's really key. At the end, it requires a network service provider which will go higher in the value chain to become an orchestrator agnostic being able to integrate all such solutions. The third point, for me, it's really the important point, and it will be really very important in the coming years, is related to the ground segment. The ground segment become now the key element, especially with low latency non-geostationary solutions. Why? Because the technical challenge is really to be able to create such kind of cloudification of the value chain, of the satellite value chain. Then the ground segment architecture must be sufficiently flexible and scalable to support the baseband equipment located everywhere in the world. If we take few examples, Starlink will have to deploy about 150 gateways. I mean, not gateways, but land stations. Telesat 70. Then you can see that it will be extremely complex to deploy the gateways, but also to interconnect them with fibers. The fourth point is, for me, the local presence. Why the local presence? Because the foot on the ground is really key. Why? Yeah. Because more and more, we will have more and more complexity in the user terminal. We have a lot of moving parts compared to the former parabolic antenna with where you have a few screws. Now we have a lot of moving parts, but also because at the edge you will have more and more smart boxes, more intelligence to play with the different bearers. And the last point is definitely the value-added services. And for me, because such kind of evolution in the satellite industry will enable innovative IP-based solutions and network management system. Then cloud providers, again, application will be key to enable the digitalization of our customer.
Yeah. So, a little bit of a curveball here, but I'm interested with Marlink working with so many maritime focused companies. How is this pile up of the container ships outside some of the larger ports, like in California and other large ports? Is that having an impact in how those companies are utilizing the communications and satellite services?
We have seen definitely a bit of change in the utilization of the satellite communication. Yes, because now we need more and more collaborative tools. If I take an example, I will give you an example. During the COVID period we were facing, we received a lot of requests for enabling real-time application like Teams, for example. Then if we want to provide such kind of capability to our customers, meaning MS Teams, as a service, then we need to set a specific service level agreement attached to the application. Then to do so, we can talk about technology. What it means that you have to deploy very largely or to integrate the existing install base of our customer in terms of software-defined orchestration for the transport layer to adapt the whole communication path and the monitoring from the end user laptop to the dedicated Microsoft interconnection. But also you have to provide to the customers the express route with, for example, with Microsoft providing direct cloud platform interconnection. Then the cloud solution now is what we feel. The cloud solution will play a key role providing further processing with a lower latency. But we had also to dedicate and to adapt all the application performance monitoring. Then it's all such kind of changes. We were moving from a standard connectivity with a service level agreement attached to an application-based routing, but also an application-based service level agreement because the way of working was totally changing over the past 12 months, I would say.
Great. Wow. So I want to end our interview here and just have you talk a little bit about what you feel are kind of the biggest trends or kind of the most exciting things that are coming down the pike in terms of satellite mobile communications.
I mean, today, just to give you a few examples, more and more the application are latency sensitive. So in evidence, the user experience is affected by latency. And I will give few examples, which are not related to satellite, but which will give a bit why we are going there. I found two examples in the press. In 2012, Amazon has calculated that a page load slowdown of just 1 second could cost 1.6 billion in sales each year. And Google did the same, has calculated that by slowing its search results by just for tenth of a second, they could lose 8 million searches by day. Then it's really where latency is really key now. And this is where also the non-geostationary satellite has a role to play, because we have more and more applications with latency sensitive. And it's not only about only user experience, but it's also about business.
Yeah. Wow. Those numbers are just mind-boggling. So, Olivier, thank you so much for making time to be here today and to share your insights on the satellite industry and where mobility is headed. I also want to take a moment to thank the Mobile Satellite Users Association for hosting these sessions. If you would like to learn more about the Mobile Satellite Users Association, or MSUA, go ahead and head on over to msua.org, and you can sign up for a weekly newsletter where you get access to all of the latest and greatest information and news on the satellite mobile industry, as well as gaining access to great sessions like this with leaders from our industry. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on MSUA's Game Changers Live.